Hi guys, it's Mike Phase 1. Oh, we've got a very special product we'd like to show you today. Rob Anderson is with us from Pioneer. Hi Rob. Rob has brought us a bit of an exclusive here for us. Very excited about seeing this product. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new Pioneer DJ xdj-rx. Keep wanting to call it something else, right? What we're going to do in this video, we're going to go across to the Phase 1 lab, the man cave, and we're going to deconstruct this whole thing, and we're going to chop this video up into little bits so we can go through every feature that this piece of kit has to offer. I've literally laid my eyes on it for 10 minutes, and to be honest with you, I'm amazed already. So I think this is going to be a great video. So, next place you'll see us is in the Phase 1 lab.
Yeah, so this is the brand new xdj-rx. This is the latest addition to the Pioneer DJ product lineup. Massively exciting unit and hugely anticipated product by a lot of DJs out there. This is the next generation of all-in-one DJ solutions. So it's under our XDJ bracket, so that generally means it's a specific rekordbox performance tool. And you'll see in a moment when we start breaking this unit up and showing you how it works, that this enables DJs to play back their tracks and their files from one of two USB ports and from their laptop if they want to get a full rekordbox experience directly from the hardware. So there's a lot on here to talk about and take you through, but I'm going to break it up into a number of sections, starting with the angled 7-inch LED colour screen at the top. You can see really high resolution, bold, vivid rekordbox logo shown there at the minute. Now, first of all, let's get some music in there. I'd imagine the majority of people out there are familiar with rekordbox already, but in case you're not, this is Pioneer's free of charge piece of software to analyse, organise and prepare your music for a number of the products in our range, really enabling you to get the most out of each individual product. So I've got a USB with my music files already analysed and prepared, and let's plug them in. We can either go to USB 1 on the far left, and one of the great things about this product is it's got two USB ports, so USB 2 on the far right as well. So great if you're using this out at parties or in venues, or if you're going back to back, or you just need to have two USB ports. We can also record on the second USB, so that's an amazing little feature, as well as track mark as we go. So yeah, everything's being recorded as we go on from this point. But yeah, focus back onto the central section of the screen. Now, it's inherited the DNA from the professional flagship CDJ-2000 Nexus, from the flagship series, even though it's kind of ergonomically laid out a bit differently. So we've got our source select on the far left. We've got rekordbox if we wanted to hardwire our laptops into the Pro DJ link. We've got MIDI control if we want to take MIDI control of different third-party software applications. You've got access to USB 1, and you'll see as soon as I jump onto USB 2, bang, the old familiar rekordbox advanced navigation or advanced searching tool. Now I'm going to jump down slightly below the menu controls here, and we're kind of jumping onto the mixer, but not the full mixer section. I'm just going to jump onto this central rotary pot, which you'll recognise from all of our products in the DJ range. This is usually used for browsing, so twist the pot, we can actually see all of the different options we will choose to navigate through our music. So let's go into playlist, and of course this is fully set up for your personal preference inside the rekordbox software. Go into nighttime, access all my playlists, and access some of my tracks. Now this is where it slightly differs. Once you choose a tune, we can press this down, and we're given the option to load to deck 1, load to deck 2. But let's cancel that. I'm going to use one of these two buttons below, load to deck 1 and load to deck 2, so just to save a bit of time. And you can see the screen switches, much like you might be used to on the Nexus players in the range. And we've actually got the track loaded up along with our waveform. So looking at the information available now, we've got our track loaded up. We've got deck 1 and deck 2, 3 lines of information. So the source of where the track is coming from, the key, and the amount of bars to my next cue point. If anyone's seen any of the videos I've done before, I'm a big fan of setting cue points on specific parts of the track, i.e. drops or breakdowns or build-ups, so you can actually see when they're coming now, much like the Nexus units in the range. We've also got the smaller waveform along with time elapsed or time remaining down here, and all of the information you'd expect to see along with an on-air display. You can see flashing away down on the just above deck 1. That's because my channel fader is up. And this is split across into 2 halves, so we've got deck 1 and deck 2. Then all of this information is our beat effects section, which we'll jump onto in a minute when we look at the mixer in a bit more detail. We can also zoom in on the waveform to see a bit more detailed view or a wider aspect. And just as you'd expect, if I hold this down, it will switch from zoom mode to grid mode. Really vivid, the beat grid markers become beat grid lines, and actually let's zoom in a bit further for you to see that. And you can actually shift your beat grids on the fly should you need to. So you'll recognise these 4 buttons from the CDJ range, but we'll go over them. At a minute we're in player view, so you can actually see the waveform scrolling across, and this is what you might be looking at when you're mixing and assigning loops and effects. But when you want to jump back to loading up a track or scanning through your collection, you've got your browse control. So again, doesn't affect your playback. You can just now see 8 lines of information on the screen. If we go to tag list, this is an amazing little feature and quite underused as well. But as you're browsing through your tracks, and let's say I see this track, Sudoku Edit, I want to play that, but I don't want to play that right at this specific moment, but I still don't want to forget about it. You've got the option to tag your track on here, and this is available on all the CDJs in the range, but you can tag your little track. You get a little red tick next to it. We'll go down and tag 1 or 2 or 3, and all of these tag tracks, a double tap on that tag button will remove it. All of these red tick tracks will now appear in the tag list. So it's not a new feature, that's been on the range for a very long time, but it's just almost like a live playlist for tracks you can relate to at a later time. The info pot simply gives you the information of the track that's currently playing, and you can switch from deck to 1 to 2 using this button up here. If we come out of tag list, there you go. So that's, you can see we're listening to Ferex by Robert Dietz on deck 1. If I go to, in fact there's not a track on deck 2, but if should you press that when it's playing, it will switch. And last of all, you've got menu. At the moment that's not going to do anything, but if you're in browse view, this will enable you to sort your playlists into different orders, which I find really useful. You know, if I jump down to DJ play count now, it will arrange all the tracks into the order that I've played the most, which I find really useful. And you can see on there we've got a number of options: comments, rating, date added, key. All of this is pre-defined inside rekordbox as to your discretion. Okay, so let's focus on the player section of the RX. We've got a twin CDJ style player either side with a DJM, almost like a DJM 350 sized mixer in the middle, but it's a hell of a lot more powerful. But yeah, we'll focus on all the features available on here for the time being. So we've got capacitive 149mm jog wheels, much like the DDJ-SX from the DDJ-S range. Very responsive, very reactive. It's the electricity in your fingertips that completes the circuit and allows you to either scratch or pitch bend using the side. Then we've also got same transport controls that you'd expect to find on the CDJ range. So again, very high quality. You know, this is a intermediate to advanced product, so all the build quality on this is very durable, very reactive. And everything else is kind of laid out in where you'd expect to see it. We've got our transport controls up here, you know, the search forward, search back, track jump as well. We've got a reverse button, which works really well when using slip mode. If anyone doesn't know slip mode, I'll jump onto that in a minute and talk you through it. We've got our looping controls. Of course, it's becoming more and more essential to have quantized loop features and quantized effects and quantized features in general on all of the Pioneer products. That's one of the main draws of using rekordbox. So all of your looping controls will work in conjunction with rekordbox's beat grids. We've got the option to jump through our cue points as I've pre-assigned in rekordbox. I don't know if you can see on the waveform there, on the small waveform, but I'm jumping through all of the cue points that I've previously assigned inside the software. Anyone who's ever used a CDJ before will know that you've got the ability to delete them from here and add more. So if I add another cue point halfway through a track, I can hit memory, save it, that's then stored to my stick. We've got one pot to adjust our vinyl speed can adjust. So our touch and release. Not two pots that you find on the CDJ-2000 Nexus, but in the utility menu, accessed using the menu button on here, you can assign what this actually controls. So you can have it to just control touch, just control release, and control both if you want. And I think mine is set to, if I set that to, you know, quite extreme over here, when I hit play, it's instant, but when I hit stop, it's slowing down slowly. So I've got that just set to touch instead of touch and release. So a bit more control over that. Of course, we've got our vinyl and jog mode control. Vinyl and CDJ mode, sorry. And then, you know, tempo controls, master tempo for stopping the pitching up and down when you change your tempo on here, and beat sync controls as well. Of course though, one of the major differences in the layout and the ergonomics from the RX to the CDJ range is we don't have hotkeys A, B and C up on the far left of the player. We have these four almost like performance buttons down at the bottom, so very similar to the SX, although they do have a different feel. They're not rubber velocity sensitive performance pads on this, they're very much click buttons like you'd expect to feel on a CDJ, except illuminated, nice vivid and blue colours for you to see. So these can be used in three different ways, three different methods of using them. It's essential to have hot cues nowadays, so amazingly this can pick up our rekordbox hot cues. This track I've loaded in, I've already assigned 3 to it, A, B and C. However, on the RX we have the ability to have 4 hot cues as well. And these are quantized, so if you're in, you know, mixing, you can easily jump to halfway through the track, and no matter how out of time I hit them, they come in on time. Down to the end of the track and back to the start, all perfectly in time. For those of you that don't like or need to turn quantize off when you're DJing, that's done on the top over by the screen. We've got a quantize button there, so if I turn that off, we can. Some DJs sets revolve around using the hot cues as a performance tool, like so. Myself, I generally just have it turned on, so when you are mixing, they'll always come in perfectly. Now, auto beat loop, this is giving you the ability to punch in loop templates. You can of course use the orange buttons that we're all familiar with up at the top here, and you can get quantized beat loops. If we, for example, try and hit an in point that won't be perfectly in, you can see up on here, bang, it will snap it perfectly. So you can use, same as the CDJ range, the orange loops up here. But it's nice to be able to punch in a template of a loop size. So each of these performance pads here, or performance buttons, will assign a different size loop depending on which one we choose. So if I go for pad D, you can see up on the screen, it's instantly assigned an 8-beat loop. Zoom in a bit for you to see that. As we scan down the pads, that will be a 4-beat loop, a 2-beat. And it's assigned it a beat off, but it doesn't matter for this example. Scan down a bit further, go to 1-beat loop. And then to exit, there's 2 ways of exiting. You can either hit the pad again, or hit the exit button by the orange pads. Holding down shift gives you a tighter loop value. So let's wait for this to drop and jump into an 8-beat loop. So there we've got 8 beats running. Hold down shift, we can go to half a beat, quarter beat, 1/8 of a beat, 1/16 of a beat. You know, if you're a performance DJ and you feel the need to access them tighter values, you can just by holding the shift button. Okay, so a little performance tool that's been added into the RX, as well as the 12 high quality effects I'm going to cover in a moment, is the loop slice mode. So this works very similar to auto beat loop in that if I choose one of these pads, each will determine a different length loop to start with. So if I hit pad D, it accesses an 8-beat loop, which will continue to roll. However, once it's running in this loop, I can use each of the 4 pads to re-trigger a certain section of the loop. For example, pad 1 will re-trigger the first part of the loop. Pad 2. Now for me, not the best of effects as it stands, because I like everything to be quantized. So the way I use this is to put slip mode on, and once slip mode is activated and you assign a loop slice, so we're still in the 8-beat section, and what I'll do is I'll come out of that and assign a 2-beat loop. Because I've got slip mode on, this will now be quantized. So you can assign tighter loop values like 1 and then exit again. So you can chop the track up, and obviously because we've got slip mode on, we can use the stop button to create some nice little stuttering effects, and just get slightly more creative and throw little elements of stuttering into the mix whilst you're performing. Okay, so focusing on the 2-channel mixer that we've got in here. If I get some audio running through, we've got standard 2 channels, robust faders with our crossfader in the center, as you'd expect. VU meters showing us both levels and the master. As you can see, we've got loads of headroom at the minute on the master. The ability to assign your crossfader, so I generally have it on through. And then sound color pot, 3-band EQ as well. Now, at the minute, I've got it set to completely cut. However, you can access up in your utility menu, should you want to, holding down your menu button. You've got a number of options in here relating to the mixer. You can change your EQ curve from isolator to EQ. You can see I've got isolator mode. You can change your channel fader curve up in here as well. One thing I didn't mention is you've got different methods of loop slicing as well. So there's 2 different modes for the loop slicer. So a number of things can be manipulated up in here. But once they're set, you generally don't have to go in there again. The really exciting thing about this mixer is that it's boasting some of the best effects from the DJM 900. So, very familiar layout. We've got sound color effects on the far left in blue, as you've learned to expect. Then you've got beat effects on the far right. And even though this is the size of a DJM 350 and similar layout, this is really a miniature DJM 900, and I'll take you through some of the effects and let you know how they sound. So we go for the first one. These are the instant gratification effects. If you've ever seen me doing a video on any of the other mixers, you will know about these. Simple. Choose a button so it flashes, in this case filter, and then turn the colour pot where the audio is coming through, in this case channel 1. Turn it to the left, low pass. Turn it to the right, high pass. You've got the same for crush, except with low bit distortion. Nice. And then gate compressor. To the right, compresses, not an effect I really use, but to the left, gates out the track. Amazing for when you're mixing out or blending the track in. And of course that's to a maximum value. You can just do this to Lastly, white noise. And because white noise is an oscillator, this can be run through either channel. So brilliant for if you're into, you know, large big room music. You can really accentuate drops and create atmosphere using these effects. Okay, so let's focus on the 8-beat effects that have been put onto the RX. Now these work in the same way as all DJM mixers. So you've got effect select on the top pot here, so 8 effects to choose from. All of this, you know, every adjustment you make will be displayed up on the screen up here as well. So if I choose the first effect, in fact we'll start with echo. We've got delay, echo, spiral, reverb, trans, flanger, pitch and roll. But we'll start with echo. As soon as I select that, it's displayed up on the screen up here, and then you can see beneath the effect you've got the channel that it's assigned to, which I can also manipulate. So you can assign it to channel 2, channel 1, channel 2, mic, crossfader 1, crossfader 2, and then the master. So the beauty of this is all these effects, just like a DJ mixer, can be assigned to a specific channel, and the mic as well. We've also then got a level depth, so we'll turn that down and turn the effect on. Now when I start to bring the level up, it's going to give us an echo to a certain value, and we can see up on the screen that value is a quarter beat, all displayed up in this section here. Now I'm going to change my beat parameter on here to 1/8 of a beat, bring the echo up a bit further. Mess around with this from half a beat to triplets. Of course, post fader as well. And as you'd expect on all our DJ mixers, we have this nice little time pot down here. So instead of jumping through the beat parameters, we can completely tighten this up to how we want it to sound, and we'll use it with the sound color effects as well. So jump onto spiral. In case you've never heard any of the DJM effects before, spiral was brought onto the DJM 900 nearly 4 years ago, and it's a really useful effect. If I turn it on, you'll hear it sounds, I'll put it on a half beat value, and it sounds much like tape delay if I reduce the fader. So you get that echoed sound, echo delay tails, but you get degradation to the sound as well. And as that's running, the really unique thing about this is you can increase the feedback by increasing the level depth. So what I'll do, bring the fader down and increase the level pot, and you get so you can actually get feedback on this. Another great thing about this is with that feedback you can change the beat parameter and speed it up and slow the feedback down also, which will also sidechain. So really unique sounding effect. Use that with the filter and you can come up with some great sounds. Let's get that running. Great thing about the reverb effect that was brought on when we changed the sound card on the new range of mixers from the DJM 900 is the way it sounds when you increase the room size. So I brought reverb in at 10%. You can barely hear it, but we can kill the lows using the filter and increase the reverb room size. So if I bring the trans, this is, you know, one of the beauties of having quantized effects, is that the effects are really tightly locked. All down to the beat grids being determined inside rekordbox, and the effects picking up the beat grid information and locking the effects tightly. Again, if we jump to roll, a Pioneer favourite, wait for the drop, we can create some really nice stuttering sounds using this as well, and they'll be beat gridded. So yeah, looking at the ins and outs along the back of the unit, you can see this is capable of most, you know, semi-professional productions. You've got balanced XLR output on your master. You've got a secondary master output, RCA. You've got separate booth control, separate booth output, balanced jack, so you can monitor your DJ booth at different volume to your crowd. And it is a standalone mixer, so you've got channel 2 of the mixer here, and then on the far right we've got channel 1 as well, which can be line or phono. You've got a little selection switch on here to choose what your input is. Grounding post in the center, so you can ground your turntables, your PLX 1000s or your Technics. Then USB connection for MIDI control. Now, a product of this type, it's always important to have high quality mic inputs. So this has got an XLR and a mic jack input on the back. So 2 mic inputs with a 2-band EQ over each. Extremely high quality level of sound delivered from the mic inputs. You know, extremely important. And then lastly, if we come back, we've got an Ethernet connection, LAN connection to the Pro DJ link, which I'm going to explain now. So yeah, you know, the main benefit of a unit like this, like the xdj-rx, is you can get a laptop free solution with all of the benefits of DJing from a laptop. So, you know, everything I've shown you so far on there was playing via USB, but with quantized looping, advanced navigation, sync options, quantized loop slicing, all of the benefits of DJing from a laptop without actually having the laptop there. However, one of the cool things about this product as well is it does actually support Pro DJ Link connectivity using the Ethernet port on the back. So, one LAN cable directly into there, connected to my laptop behind, and as soon as you open up the rekordbox software, it sees the IP address that the RX is sending. Now if I click link on the bottom of my rekordbox library, like that, it will straight away see my xdj-rx at the bottom. So I'm now basically using my rekordbox library on the laptop as a USB stick. It's almost like my storage device. And I can access the files in 2 different ways. So I can either drag and drop straight from here. So if I take this track and drag it onto deck 1, straight away it's loaded in. You know, the hardware is still doing the brunt of the work processing here. It's a lot more reliable than DJing from, for example, a DVS bit of software. The laptop is literally just becoming the storage. And instead of working like that, if I wanted to, you know, play from my laptop but still not use the laptop to type and drag and drop, you can, in your source select, hit rekordbox on here, and there it's seeing Anderson's MacBook, and I can scan through, and now it's seeing my entire, if I go to track, there's everything that's in my rekordbox library all displayed up on here. This is a great method for using at home, because of course you don't want to be mixing tracks and then from a USB and then realizing, oh, certain tracks work well together, and then going back to your computer, reorganizing playlists and then exporting. I mean, using this like now, like you can do also on the CDJ Nexus range and CDJ 2900s, this is like the home method. This is how I prefer to do it, so you can DJ and organize playlists at the same time, and then when you're ready to go and play out, export all your stuff to your USB stick.
Wow, Jesus. Now that took a bit of doing. You know, everyone thinks these videos are dead easy, and they're not. You want to know how many takes that took?
One take.
Yeah, it was one take.
Yeah.
He's lying. He's lying. Right, Rob, thanks very much for that. Absolutely fantastic. Got to say, I'm even a little bit excited about this bit of kit. I mean, it's definitely a rekordbox product. I imagine I know it works as a MIDI controller, but rekordbox for me has got to be the way forward. For those that don't know about rekordbox is basically, in a nutshell, I always describe it as it's like iTunes for DJs. You're going to use iTunes, you export your music to your phone or your iPod or your device. What we do here is we use rekordbox and export it to USB sticks and memories, and also you can connect it. I think the Pro Link was really cool. I never expected the Pro Link to be on here. Absolutely amazed at that, to be honest with you.
Amazing feature.
But I'm looking at that and I'm going, well, is there any reason why you know this is like flagship stuff? But tell me what I'm not getting
in comparison
to your flagship stuff.
So this is a good alternative to 2000 Nexuses. You know, it's a scaled down version. It's 2-channel, so this is only 2 deck. I like to use 3 CDJ 2000 Nexuses. So
yep, valid point.
You know, you have got access to the link in here, so that's linked to my laptop, but there's no ability to link in further CDJs. You can run audio in and, you know, switch to another channel, but
so
you can't have...
we can't get any more than 2 items in the mix at any one time, really.
No, you're limited to 2.
Yeah.
Which, you know, for a lot of people that's cool. Like I said, it is a scaled down version. You've got smaller jog wheels. Again, they're really good to perform on, but they're not quite the same as the flagship
I would agree.
209mm jog wheels. They're also no needle search. So when you're performing on here, one thing that I had to kind of get to grips with was I'm so used to scanning through tracks using the needle search strip on the 2000 Nexuses. On this, you don't have the ability to do that, so it's kind of jumping backwards a little bit using your search and to scan quickly, hitting the forward button and the jog wheel. And, you know, after, it's just getting to grips with it again, but it's something that I'm used to performing on when I'm out.
Yeah. What I think Pioneer actually have done is that they've taken a lot of the real cherries out of the product range and put them in here. One of the things I really love is the fact that it's got booth out. I think that's very important, and also the master record and the track mark. Track mark means, and correct me if I'm wrong here, as I'm recording and I go from one track to the next, I can mark it. So then when I burn a CD or if I put my mix up, it's going to mark like track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4.
Yeah, so every time you do a mix, you can just hit the track mark button and then it splits it. Splits the recording into sections of audio. So you
brilliant. This section up here, this is just for microphones, yeah?
Yeah, so you've got your two mic channels, both controlled up there. You know, it's really simple. The top sections, where they used to be on this kind of all-in-one section, was only like MIDI controllers, wouldn't it? This all-in-one format for a very long time. And this whole top section would be really confusing and designed to manipulate the effects of the software. But, you know, now this kind of style is just a purely rekordbox controller. It's a bit more simplified. You've got your mic, and then over this side you've got your master and your booth volumes.
One of the questions I've got for you as well is, in the browser section, how do we search via using the alphabet, where if I want to type in without having this connected?
So it's the same as, you can do it. If we go to browse, you can go to, let's go to rekordbox and go right to the start. You have to choose search, and then you turn your rotary pot to choose.
Right, yeah. So
same as the DJM-900.
That's right.
DJM-900 Nexus.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit longer.
CDJ, not DJM.
CDJ.
We don't do this in one take, but I'm going to leave that in.
Yeah. There's a few other things. You know, you said some of the cherries have been taken out. Some of them have definitely been left on as well. But on the effects, you know, Spiral is my favourite effect on the DJM-900.
It sounds wicked.
On this, it's still amazing, but there's no triplet. You know, there's no triplet value, so you can't delay it to, you know, the 1/3 and get that kind of steppy feel. You also can't do that on the roll effect either. There's also no high pass on the reverb. So even though them amazing effects are there, there's still that little thing that leaves me wanting the DJM-900.
Yeah.
And on the sound colour effects, there's no dub echo or space reverb.
Yeah.
So some of the kind of essential ones that I really like to use, and, you know, loads of people have grown to love over the last 4 years, aren't fully there, but it's a
at
streamlined version.
At the price point that this is actually at,
Yeah.
wow.
The whole thing about this is it's bringing,
Unbelievable.
you know, a almost full rekordbox experience on a massive 7-inch colour screen for a relatively affordable price.
Yeah,
you know, a much more affordable price than the CDJ-2000 Nexus.
So I don't have to go out and sell all my CDJs. I won't be. But at the same time, I know if I'm going to go anywhere and do anything, I hate moving this lot around. I think I'll be taking that. Really, really impressed with it. I think there's reasons to have both, but that has got to be one of the best bits of equipment I've seen in a long time. Again, I'd like to say thank you very much for Rob coming down. Cheers. We're in the man cave here. This is our little man cave of... we have some fun in here, let's put it this way. We're all set up with CDJs and stuff like that, and we thought instead of trying to do it at the shop where we're all getting disturbed, we'd do it in the phase 1 lab, if you like. So there you go. Thank you very much to Rob. That is the Pioneer xdj-rx. It's coming out very shortly. I'm very excited about it. That's wicked. Thank you very much. Spike at phase 1.